Thank you, Neil. The time is now just after 7:30. As things stand, the earliest date for the reopening of schools in England to all pupils is still a month away, which means that remote teaching and learning goes on. We should know more later this month about ministers' plans for how children catch up now that an Education Recovery Commissioner has been appointed. I've been looking at the experience so far for both teachers and pupils at the school that we've been following for several months, Wales High in Rotherham.
Okay, let's see what we remember then about the water cycle.
Evaporation is when heat from the sun shines...
Wendy Ellen is the school's head of English. We first met her last September, but now her day is split between supervising her children's learning from home and delivering her own online lessons.
My day tends to start around 5 a.m. One of the first things that I'll do is print off the resources from my son's school. I've also got a daughter in year 7. There's 3 of us, all with sort of different schools, different systems, all kind of trying to share one sort of internet connection and get through it all together. It definitely is a juggling act. There's been a couple of lessons where I'll be delivering a live lesson and in the background somebody's shouting, "Mum, what's for dinner?" And we just have to laugh it off. I think it's, we're all in this together, aren't we? So.
Hi, I'm Tia, I'm 14 and I'm in year 10.
Hi, I'm Savannah, I'm 13 and I'm in year 9.
Wales High pupils have their own tales too.
But the other day there was somebody in my class, his mum was shouting at him and he'd unmuted so everyone could hear his mum shouting at him, and then the teacher didn't really know what to do and that was a bit awkward.
Yeah, I was on a call the other day and this boy had unmuted and he was like, "Oh, tell me if they say anything, like I've got to do anything." And it kind of really caught him out in a way, and I found that quite funny. He wasn't really paying attention, he was just like waiting to see if they were going to say anything important that he needed to know, do you know what I mean?
One of the first online lessons that I did was probably a bit of a disaster in hindsight. I think students were able to mute the other members of the group or mute me. They were able to remove me from the classroom. None of it maliciously, just, all of us at the same time trying to get to grips with this new technology. So yeah, there's definitely been fun and games and a steep learning curve for everybody there.
The school is open for some pupils, which means some teachers are in. Wendy's colleague Matt Day, who teaches chemistry, is among them.
Both at GCSE and A-level for us, 15% of the marks on the exams are based on practicals that are required that the students usually carry out. Sometimes we can sort of work around that. So, for example, with density, we can get the students to go around their house and work out the density of objects that they can find. That's physics. With chemistry, there's no way with the chemicals that we have in the specialist labs we have in school that students can pick up with that. I can teach from a lab doing the actual practical, and while it's definitely no substitute for students doing it themselves, it's a lot better than nothing, and it's kind of what we've got to work with. In year 7, we've been able to set some tasks and have a lot more fun with it. Our year 7s have been making baked Alaska to investigate changes of state, and we're constantly bringing new things in to try and get the scientific ideas across just in a different way.
Good morning, year 7. It's lovely to have you here. Hope you're all well. Just checking in the list to see who we've got with us. Okay, just wait for a few more people. So what I would love you to do is just follow the instructions that are on the screen and see if we can remember.
One of the big changes is how classes have been merged into larger groups for the remote lessons.
We sometimes have upwards of over 100 students in one lesson. So we'll have one member of staff teaching and giving the input, and then 1 or 2 other members of staff kind of monitoring the chat bar and giving more sort of tailored support to students that need something extra.
So what is it like if you've got 100 children on the call and you're trying to teach them poetry? How do you have any idea who it's registering with?
It's really like having to kind of learn how to teach again from the beginning. I've been teaching 15 years. We're used to asking open questions and encouraging students to really think about their ideas and formulate their responses. You can't do that over a chat bar. So lots of closed questions, lots of polls, lots of emojis, and just kind of little quick ways for us to assess the students and to find out what it is that they get. And then we can look at what it is that they're not quite getting hold of.
Can you see them?
No. So for safeguarding reasons, no, we don't see them.
So you have no idea if they're paying attention?
It's really hard to know. We have little checks and balances. So we often ask questions and we can see, so we always have somebody on the chat bar that's responding and looking at who's engaging with the lesson. But there's always going to be some students who sort of log on and then disappear. And it's very hard for us to monitor that and to engage with those students.
After the end of a day of lessons, 2 Year 9s and 2 Year 10s stay at their screens to tell me how remote learning feels to them. Tia and Savannah, who you heard earlier, plus Alfie and Stefan.
It's been very different. It's quite hard because you get a lot of help in school than what you would have at home.
What's the hardest thing about it? When you're not quite sure about something, you can't stick your hand up the way you would have done in class?
Yeah, that part is quite hard because when you're on the chat as well, there's quite a lot of people asking all different questions, and it's hard for you to catch the teacher's attention because they'll be answering someone else's question.
What do you think you are missing out on?
I do ICT, so it's quite hard to use the software because at the moment we're doing things that need specific software and some people don't have access to that, so it's quite tricky for the teachers to try and work around that.
Alfie?
Most days it's fine, but the odd days when my dad's working at home, it's quite hard because my dad's running off Wi-Fi as well. So it kind of lags a bit during my lessons.
Tia, what about you?
I just wanted to mention, it's been in the news a lot lately, but exams and GCSEs and A-levels, that's quite a big pressure because I'm going into year 11 next year. You feel like you have to catch up on everything, and then our school are quite good at supporting you and telling you it's all going to be okay, but before that, when you talk about your GCSEs and they say these are the key to getting a good job and a good life, so it's missing out on key information that you need. It makes you feel where am I going to be in 5 years if this doesn't go well?
Are you worrying about that, even though your GCSEs aren't till next summer?
Yeah, it is quite a big stress because nobody knows if when we go out of lockdown, are we going to get any extra support, or if they're just going to say the exams are going ahead as normal. We don't really want that. We want some extra support or extra work or anything to just help us catch up on what we've missed.
Stefan, you're in the same year as Tia. What do you think?
I think it's a big weight for us to carry, if you know what I mean. We've all got to work more than we would to get the same outcome because some stuff you might struggle with, some stuff you might not. You might be working with kids who have got a better ability at maths, for instance, than you. So you might be going through it quicker because you may have been taught by a different teacher or something like that, or you may have been taught by a person you don't know. So they don't know your skill and don't work at the pace that you're at us. So I think it's quite hard for us to have to think about our GCSEs next year and have to do the best we can to get the best outcome.
Despite all the trials of this experience, there are elements of it that Wales High is likely to retain. Vicky Bolton is one of the assistant head teachers.
One thing that I've been really staggered by is the level of innovation over the last few weeks. I think a lot of what we've developed will stay in some form. Even though I can't wait to be back in a classroom, I do think that remote teaching in some form will stay in the future, whether that's to deal with a snow day, for example, or a member of staff who's got a planned absence and they can pre-record a lesson. I think the potential of what we've discovered over these last 6 months, it's been very difficult, but I also think it's really exciting in terms of where it's moving education.
Everyone can hope that soon we are in the realm of choice when schools can decide what to keep from this strange time. For now, though, the remote experience is the everyday reality for millions. And on tomorrow's programme, we'll be reporting on lockdown education outside the mainstream. I've been to a pupil referral unit in East London.